So welcome to the old water cleaning plant in Prague. Let's go inside.
All right.
So it's the oldest water cleaning plant in Prague and the only one that's been preserved in its original condition to this day. They built it as the final phase of the sewage system under Prague between the years 1901 and 1906 because the hygienic situation was really horrible and things like the plague and cholera and typhus were being spread everywhere. So they made a sewage system and this was the final part of it. It was all designed by a guy named Sir William Heerlein Lindley from Britain. He was an engineer and he worked in Frankfurt as like a sewage system guy. And still to this day in Frankfurt and in Warsaw, sewage systems designed by him are still active. So he was really good at this stuff and they invited him here to do it as well. It was functional until 1967 and they were gonna destroy it, but they didn't have enough money, so they just left it here. And then in the 90s, some enthusiasts into industrial heritages found it and they started taking care of it and they let the public see it. And today it's a national heritage and it's still waiting for UNESCO to make it a part of it. So now we'll go underground and I need to tell you that it's at your own risk. I am obligated, so don't try to swim in anything or jump in anything. You can go first. This is the pillar room. It's called that because there's a bunch of pillars and it used to be for storing chemicals. Under us there were 4 big tanks with chemicals that were supposed to take the sludge out of the water, and then the sludge was pumped up and it was sold to farmers as fertilizer. But there was a problem with that because one of the chemicals was, I don't know how to say it in English. It's 2 aluminums and 3 oxygens, I think. No, 2 aluminums and 1 SO3 thing. Yeah. So it has aluminum in it, and then when they sold it as fertilizer, there would be aluminum in the fertilizer, and then there would be aluminum on the plants, and then people ate aluminum, which is really bad for your health. So they just stopped using the chemicals, and they started just using mechanical cleaning, which means that you just clean what you see. But there was another problem with that because when they were using chemicals, the effectiveness of the water cleaning was about 70%, and when they stopped using it, it was about 30 to 40%. And today in the water cleaning plant that works for Prague, the effectiveness is like 95%, so it really wasn't very good. So they stopped using chemicals and they started using it as a boiler room. There you can still see the hole that they used for coal, and then on the other side there's a bunch of boilers and stuff for drinkable water. Okay, let's continue.
What about these bricks?
Oh yeah, I forgot, thanks. There's like an interesting thing about the plant that you can see really well in this room, which are the bricks. They're special handmade and twice fired bricks. And they were called ringers because if you tapped on them with a hammer, they make a ringing sound. And they were used here because they have like special properties that make it really good for using in sewage systems. Like it's really water resistant, and it's also well resistant against like the pressure of water and erosion of water and stuff like that. So Mr. Lindley like insisted on the using of these bricks, and he was kind of an autistic weirdo because when they brought the bricks here, not only was every brick wrapped individually, like pieces of butter, like every single brick that you see here was wrapped individually in paper, but also Mr. Lindley insisted on every single brick being checked personally. So they personally checked every single brick, and pretty often it would happen that they would just say, no, this brick is bad, and they would send it back. But like he knew what he was doing, obviously, because all the bricks are still in perfect condition and none of them are crumbling or anything, and they're still in the sewage systems that work today. So yeah, it's good that he was autistic. It's gonna be an hour straight video of just me talking. This is the chamber of the water wheel, because there was a big water wheel here. And the water wheel served as a ventilation mechanism for the plant, because this is one of the, what's it called? Like just one of the places where garbage water flowed like this. And garbage water brings a lot of dirty air with it, obviously. And there was a bunch of chemicals in it, like a lot of methane and also water gas, and the visibility for workers down here was about like a meter or a meter and a half. So it was really important to clean it. And it worked like this. So the water flowed here, that made the wheel spin, and that was connected to a transmission pole that just transmits energy, and that was connected to a ventilator that's there in the other room. And if you saw those two big chimneys upstairs, then one of them was for ventilation. And it just led the dirty air out of the plant. And clean air was led back in the plant using these holes in the ceiling. And in Czech they're called světlíky, because světlo means light, and it's called this because they not only brought clean air back into the plant, but also like daylight, so the workers weren't sad. The water wheel isn't here anymore because in the 20s the plant underwent a big like electrification process, and eventually everything stopped being steam powered and everything started to work on electricity, so they put the wheel away, and today next to the ventilator there's just an electromotor because it was cheaper. And that staircase is also interesting because it wasn't here when the plant worked, but filmers built it. A bunch of movies have been made and are being made at the plant, and I don't remember all of them at all, but I know that one Mission Impossible movie was here, the newest John Wick was here, and then some famous Czech movies. And like they still make movies here, like student ones. Like last week there was one. Yeah, so that's it. We can continue. And over here is the ventilator. You can just film it. I don't have anything to say, but it's just there. And there's my favorite hole in the ceiling because there's a lot of plants in it. Okay. This is the room of the sand trap. It's the biggest like room in the entire underground of the plant. And it's, oh, I think there's a bat there. Cool. Did you hear it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's here on the ceiling. You can see those holes for light and clean air that I was talking about, and the whole, like, I don't know how to say it in English again. Like the whole curvature of the ceiling has 13 meters, which is a lot. So in this big room, 2 out of the 3 mechanic processes of water cleaning took place, and the first one was down here, and it was just a bunch of iron bars stuck into the ground that were supposed to catch like big biological contaminations, so like sticks and leaves and pieces of food or cloth or dead animals and stuff like that. And one time they even found a dead body here, which is pretty cool.
Only once?
Yeah, it was some guy who committed suicide and jumped in a water pipe that led here. Yeah, so these are the 3 main tunnels that would bring water here from the entirety of Prague. And yeah, it would just flow here and get cleaned. And then when they sorry. So yeah, here was the first phase of the cleaning with the bars, but it had, it had like a bad aspect, which was that there always had to be a worker that would scoop out all the dirty stuff and put it on carts that would take it to an island on the river to a dump. So then when they didn't want to pay the guy here, they installed this. It's like an automated version of the first process. So here you can see the iron bars that would catch all the garbage, but there's no one taking it out, and there's just a machine that scoops it out by itself. So I'll show you how it works.
Shine the light. And then so the workers could like maximize their laziness. There was a conveyor belt here right in front of the machine, so the garbage would get scooped out and then just brought automatically to those carts that would go to the island. So this is the sand trap that the room is named after, and here was the second phase of the cleaning out of the three, and it was supposed to remove mineral contaminations from the water, so like pieces of gravel and sand and maybe dirt. It's built in like a V shape, and it's 6 meters deep in the middle. You can see. It doesn't look like 6 meters, but it is. And also there's some stuff at the bottom, which makes it a little less deep. And it's built in this V shape because it makes the flow of the water slower. And if the flow of the water is slower, it gives time for the mineral contaminations to sink to the bottom. And then this thing is a pump, and that would just pump it out from the bottom of the sand trap. And it was on rails, so it would like move back and forth so it can pump out everything. And when the sand and gravel was pumped out, they could use it as building material. But then when they installed that automatic thing that I showed you, the pump was fixated in place, so it couldn't go back and forth anymore. So if you can see it there at the bottom, there's like a basket or a cage, and they use those things to get all the contaminations to the pump so it can pump out everything again. The plant was built at the lowest point in Prague, so that all the water would flow here by itself without any pumping of the water, which was really nice, but it was a big problem when floods occurred. Like in 2002, there was a really big flood in Prague, and it was filled all the way up to the ceiling. So they just really needed a mechanism that would get the water into the river without any cleaning. So that's these two big pipes. They're anti-flood pumps. And they're the only part of the plant that stayed steam-powered until the end of the plant in 1967, because if you have a bunch of water underground, you can put an electromotor there that would pump it out. So the flood pumps are the reason why the steam engines are still in perfect condition. So the steam engines are still operating?
Yeah, and like a few times a year, they like make it all work, even the boilers and the steam engines, to show everyone, and they still work perfectly, just like 120 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, and here you can see the carts better, that they put all the garbage in. And you can see that they're on rails, and the rails are directly connected to this big elevator that goes up, and then the carts go to the island, to the dump. And an interesting fact is that the island on the river that the dump was at is called Císařský ostrov, which in Czech means like Emperor's Island, and they really didn't like the emperor, so that's why like they put all the garbage on his island to show him that they don't like him.
Which emperor was that? Like
at the time, I think it was not Frank Henry,
Franz Josef?
Franz Josef the First, I think. I'm not. He was no wait. Maybe it was Karel První, like Karel the First. I'm not sure. It was either Franz Josef or Karel První. Like it was right before we were a part of Austria until the end of World War I, and at that time, at 1901, I think it was Franz Josef, but I'm not sure. This is my favorite room. It's what's it called? It's just with the sludge pumps. The room with the sludge pumps, and it's called this because, like I showed you, the 2 out of 3 cleaning processes. The third one was just sedimentation, so the water that was almost cleaned up and only had sludge in it. Sludge are just like tiny little parts in the water that haven't dissolved. So it would flow in 10 really big tanks with only the sludge in it, and then they would wait like a week before all the sludge sinks to the bottom, and then the water, which was practically cleaned up, would flow into the river, and then something had to pump out the sludge that stayed there. So that's what those big machines are for. There used to be a third one, but they sold all the metal from it, so it's not here anymore. They used to be steam powered, just like everything else in the plant. There you can still see, in the corner there, a hole that was for the transmission pole from the steam engines. So it went like this, connected to the engines with belts, but they chopped it off because it stopped being steam powered, and now there's a circle there that's connected to a belt that goes straight up to the main electromotor, which we can see upstairs. And this room is really interesting because, first of all, it's the only one in the underground that has windows. Here you can see them. Like, it's not those holes for daylight and air, it's just normal windows. And that's because the sludge pumps pumped it up to these special sludge boats next to the river that would bring it to farmers as fertilizer, like I said at the beginning. And the workers at the sludge boats, I'm going to say sludge a lot, at the sludge boats had to communicate in some way with the workers here at the sludge pumps. So they used light signals, and through the windows they just flickered light, and that's how they spoke to each other. Also, they couldn't use sound because it was really loud, the machines. Which leads me to the other cool thing in this room, which is that it has concrete on the walls, as the only room in the underground. And that's because the machines were super loud and they rattled the whole room and everything was shaking and the bricks were crumbling. So they didn't want that to happen, so they just put concrete on the walls. And also I think there was a little bit of an aesthetic reason, because it used to be painted as well, and it was this really ugly yellow. It looked like a school canteen, and it was really weird. And also, if water flowed in here, then it would take the color off the walls, and then they had yellow color in the water, and they had to paint it again, and it was just really stupid. So they just left it like this, and I think it looks way better. And then the last interesting thing, if you come with me. So as I said, they made a lot of movies here, and in a lot of the movies they shot guns, so there are some blank bullets left from the filmmakers. Here under the bars, if you look there, the shiny golden thing, there's one blank. You probably can't see it on video. And they used to be everywhere, even above the bars, but all the visitors stole them, so there's just this one. And there's one there as well, but you have to look from here. Yeah, so that's from Tom Cruise when he was running around. And they used to be really everywhere, but they stole it because you can go under the bars here. And I don't know what's in that tunnel. I want to explore it sometime. We can go there now. I don't know what's there, but we can try and explore it.
All right, let's go. World premiere of this tunnel.
Now that I think about it, the green rope is probably there for a reason, but I think we can still go.
Oh. What? Glasses and some sludge.
Oh, it ends here. Oh, there's some other tunnel there. Whoops. There's some water, and there's... Did anything fall?
No.
Whoa, cool. Here, I'll aim the flashlight down so we can see the water.
Whoa.
And there's some more water here.
Whoa.
Should I take it so they can see? Yeah, there's some tunnel with water in it.
Wow.
And it's probably really deep.
Uh-huh.
Like the sedimentation tanks are 10 meters. 6 meters.
Wow.
Okay. I need to hold my microphone so it doesn't fall. That was cool.
Is this for scooping sludge?
Probably. Okay, let's go up now. That tunnel was really cool. There was water at the end. And it was some tunnel that I don't know about. There are 10 tanks under the plant for the sedimentation, but I don't think that's one of them. So I'll ask my colleagues what it is. And here you can see more holes for light and air. So this is the main hall of the plant. It connects the east wing and the west wing. The west wing has the steam engines and the boiler room, and we're going to go there, so I'll say that later. And the east room used to be for storing chemicals, but I said that they don't use those, or they didn't use those anymore. So it was just a place for all the employees. So there were like bathrooms and canteens and changing rooms and stuff like that.
And this is the top of the elevator?
Yeah. So we're right above the big area downstairs where the two parts of the cleaning took place. Here you can see those big holes for light and air that we saw on the ceiling down there. And that's the top part of the elevator for the carts that we saw. And you can see that like on the left side of the elevator, the rails for the carts, and it goes out the gate right to the island. And that's the main electromotor that we saw the belt for downstairs. And those two big tanks are for drinkable water. And they're up there because you can see that there's a bunch of room here, and the architect could have put it anywhere, the two big tanks, but he wanted it to be kind of grand upstairs because the plant is really nice and big downstairs, but only workers saw it there. And the upstairs is like not nearly as majestic and cool. So he wanted it to be like big and grand, so he just decided to put them up there so that it's big. Okay, so let's go see the steam engines.
So this is the steam engine room. There are two identical steam engines from 1903, I think, from the Czech-Moravian company Breitfeld Daněk. They were like the top of the industry in Europe at their time. And it's built using the Schmidt patent, which means that the engines were sort of Rolls-Royces among steam engines during their time. But the Schmidt patent actually means that they use overheated steam that's 320 degrees Celsius. And overheated steam is that after the water evaporates, they warm it up again so that they remove like little particles of water that are still liquid, and they like give the steam properties that are closer to an ideal gas, so that there are like minimal energy losses when it works in the steam engines. So yeah, that's overheated steam. Both engines work using a differential piston, which you can see here. Taken out, that's a differential piston. And a differential piston is that it has a different radius on both ends. So that when the steam goes in on this side, it pushes the piston to one side, and when the steam gets to the other side, it pushes it back. So like with one salve, or with one, I don't know how to say it, like dosage of steam, it makes two movements there and back. So it's like way more effective than normal pistons. And you can see it way better when they turn on the engines. A few times a year, they turn it on because it's still in perfect condition. Just like 120 years ago, and they just make it work. And you can see that like every time the steam hisses, the piston goes there and back. And then all these little bottles that are placed across both engines are for oil, so that it just like lubricates the engine so that it works like it's supposed to. But they always only used about 10% of the oil, and the rest, the 90%, they had to filter so that they could use it again. Here you can see this is the unfiltered oil. It drips out of the engines when they work, and like you can even touch it, and it's really greasy and yucky.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Yeah. I shouldn't have touched it.
Do you know what these belts are made of?
Oh yeah, so that's the main transmission pole that just transferred energy to machines in the entire plant. And the steam engines are connected to them with handmade leather belts. And like a weird, interesting factoid is that it's beef leather, which was really weird for that time because in America they murdered like all the bisons and then they sold the leather to Europeans. So at that time when the plant was built, they used bison leather for absolutely everything. And just here, there's beef leather for some reason. I don't know why, but it seems kind of interesting. And then if you look down here, that's the last thing for this room, you can see those anti-flood pumps from the top. So like I said, they were the only thing that remained steam powered until the end of the plant. And here you can even see how it's directly connected to the steam engines with another leather belt. And this one used to be as well, and the belt's not there, but you can see like the two circles that fit. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I forgot to turn the lights on here. Oops. Yeah. Oh. So this is the boiler room. Here they made the steam for the engines. I forgot, I don't know how to say it in English again. Like, I don't know, flame boilers, I guess, if I translated it. And that means that you have the flame part, which is this, the smaller cylinder. That's where they put the coal and made heat. Here you can look inside. It's really long. Yeah, so that's where they created heat, and the outer cylinder had water in it. So the smaller cylinder heated up the water that's in the bigger one, and then the water evaporated and went there in the back, where they heated it up again, so they could make the overheated steam so that it's closer to an ideal gas. And then it reaches the 320 degrees so that they can use it in the engines. These things show how much steam and how much water are in the boilers, like the ratio of it, because when the surface of the water goes under the flame boiler or the flame cylinder, then it can overheat really quickly and explode. So
they constantly had to check on this thing. They used coal to make the heat. You can see it here. They stored it on the other side of this wall. Sorry. Yeah, here, coal, they stored it on the other side of that wall. And you can take a piece if you want to. As I was talking about, the two big chimneys outside, and one of them was for ventilation, so the other one was to take out smoke from here. There was always one worker working here in 12-hour shifts, and during the 12 hours he had to move 3 tons of coal into both boilers, or like in total 3 tons of coal into the boilers. And in the summer, the temperature reached like easily 45 or 50 degrees Celsius, so like a ton of coal in 4 hours in 50 degrees wasn't a very nice job. Yeah, so that's it for this room. And don't ask me what this is, because I don't know. And all the visitors always ask, and I have no idea. It's a really weird looking thing. I think it might have been some sort of extinguisher, fire extinguisher, because like there's a trident on it, so I think it had something to do with water. And you can pump it like this, and this is a connector to a pipe. So my theory is that it's a fire extinguisher, but no one's sure. Some visitors think it's a thing to blow the flames to make them bigger, but I don't think so.
Yeah, it might be that.
Yeah, but there's a trident on it, so it had to be something with a liquid, I think. Okay, and now the coolest part of the tour. Okay, follow me. There you can see a replica of the rails that the carts went on. That's a replica of the rails that the carts went on to the island. There they go over the bridge on that side. But yeah, this is just a replica, and here are the actual carts. And when manpower wasn't enough to push the carts with the garbage, they installed like a fueled locomotive, and they were gonna put one on the replica so that people could go there and back. But then Prague said no, so now we don't have a little train. So these are the sedimentation tanks. This is the final part of the cleaning. This is the gallery that brings all the water here. It spills across the entire gallery, and then it fills up these big tanks. They're 90 meters long, 5.5 meters wide, and 4 to 6 meters deep. It's 4 to 6 meters because it makes the bottom of the tank slanted, so it's 4 on that side and 6 on this one, because here, if you look underwater, there's the sludge pump. I don't know how well you can see it on video. Yeah, there. That's the pump. So if it's slanted towards the pump, it makes the sludge easier. It makes it easier for the sludge to get to this side. But even though it was slanted, the workers had to jump in every time with wooden tools and scoot it towards the pump. And even after the sludge was pumped out, they had to clean the bottom because there was a thin bacterial film that would contaminate the water, so they cleaned it. Yeah, so now come with me. There's the boat. And there are no rats or mice living
in the plant as a lot of people think, but there's one bat, so we might meet him. Like down here, there's one bat.
Did there used to be rats here?
No, never. Just the one bat. And there are in this tank, there are 2 fish. And they look really cool because there's almost no light here, so they're all white and translucent. So maybe not today. Yeah, but there are 2 fish living in this tank.
Huh.
And one bat somewhere here. He's probably sleeping. We have to walk through this to get to the boat. And it smells surprisingly nice here. And I think this stuff is calcium, but I'm not sure. The stuff dripping out of the walls. Because when they were filming a movie here last week, there was a guy that said that the exact same thing happened to his garage walls, this drippy stuff, and he said that it's calcium. So this is where the water flowed out of the plant. When it rains, you can even see like a steady flow of water. And this is the tunnel that leads straight to the river Vltava. If you look there, down, you can see further. One time I went to explore it with my friend and he hit his head on that big metal thing and then his face was bleeding the whole night. Maybe the fish are here. No. But they really do have fish in this tank. Like the maintenance guy, every time he goes here, he throws a little bit of bread to them so that they don't die. And this is the boat. Whoops. I have to be careful here because I've dropped 2 flashlights into the water. Well, yeah. There's some slime on the. There's slime on the light switch. Oh, it's a slug. Look, there's a new inhabitant. There's a slug. Should I take it off? I don't know what to do.
Yeah, take it off.
I'll let him chill there until, like, for the boat ride.
What's the slug doing here? That's
I
really
wonder
weird.
how long it took the slug to get here.
Yeah. Like the holes in the ceiling are blocked, so he couldn't. He had. Bless you. Thank you. Like, thanks. He had to go down the stairs and then go down the path that the visitors go down and then climb onto the boat. And he's pretty stupid because there's no food here that he could eat. Do you think the bat can eat him?
I don't think bats eat slugs.
Oh, and you can make really good waves with the boat if you rock it. One time I had a Norwegian group and they swung it and then they sang Norwegian sea shanties and it was really funny. Oh wait, is that a fish? Oh, that's a fish. No, oh, it's a piece of plastic, I think. But it looks exactly the same as the fish because it was all white. I really don't understand what the fish eat here. Wait, I'll take a picture of the slug for my colleagues. Okay. Okay, that's the end of the tour. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.